Anybody want to do an off-topic video? And yet it points in with Discovery Channel. I'm a hip, cool kid. I'm not bashful. I'm saying, like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery Channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery Channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might want to get those two things, combine them, make them into one. And that's the reason for me saying to make them into one, because to have a channel and then, yes, help in the areas of various areas of discovery, right? Renaming shows and all this other stuff. There's true business in that. True business skills in you doing branding, where you combine one thing over here with this other thing over here, because see, those two things don't match. They're completely out of line with each other, and yet they're really not, because to say both are driven by education is to say, what do you have? A branch off process, a branching off process of two different brands. They don't go together, and yet they're owned and operated by the same business entity. See what I'm going with this? And yet to be creative and form creative processes is to think outside of the box just enough to combine them together on a channel. Outside it, yes, the two having their own YouTube channels. Does that make sense? Some people will get what I'm saying. Not everybody, there's total freedom in that. I'm the complete opposite, as in I don't just go in one lane and drive in one way. I'm able to say, well, you know, Investigation Discovery owns and operates education at one field and one level. The crime field, true crime. But then there's also Discovery Channel, which offers education. And you know where that goes. It spans all across the globe about everything, all topics, right? And so, once again, to fit them together is to make it one into one channel. And yet, this channel is not completely, there's really no growth within my channel as of yet, because I haven't put in all the work and all the rest with that. Does that make sense? I can't hear you out there, viewer, and yet I know that you're there, because there's testing that goes with even that. Seeing what works and what don't work on even a YouTube channel. With being with Discovery Communications. The logos there, photos there, and all the rest. And my potential being here. And yet doing certain things at times to see what is going to in fact work and what doesn't by testing stuff. And sometimes doing things in which I don't even say. Yes, sometimes to bump off viewers. I've did that before. I won't say in what areas, because even algorithm points in with this, or even that is in discussion with robotics, which is what I said, the off topic, and me not talking on murder crimes with that, right? The discussion being robotics, right, is completely off topic, and yet it's Discovery Channel, right? But algorithms, in fact, point in with that, and knowing that YouTube uses algorithms for everything, and all this is a robotic computerized system, is to say that is, in fact, a match on my end. To know what is going to work on YouTube is to try it out and experiment around people while the actual counts and views are low on the channel, in place of just doing everything sporadically when you got millions of followers. That's not when you want to be experimenting on stuff. You should never want to experiment to the extremity on a channel when you got millions of followers, because now you're going to have to find out, well, now I done lost everybody because I done experimented too much. Now I got to find a way to gain them back. It always helps to work in reverse. Some people don't know that. They'll say, well, let me start a channel, try to get millions of followers, and I didn't put in the work and the effort. That's why people can't make it. They don't want to take no time, spend no time, no effort trying to put in the work, trying to build up a channel just to see, because even experiment, you can't just get on YouTube and say, well, I'm doing this with Discovery, right? I work for Discovery, and yet Discovery, in fact, doesn't completely own and operate. But whatever money does get made on this channel, in fact, goes to them. That's how everything is set up. Things is designed the right way, right? And so, because the logos is in fact, that's intellectual property. For me to make money off of discovery on my channel is to say other people might do it however they do it, and yet I choose to do it the right way. Money has to be paid out to them based upon the views and me gaining money on YouTube. It just has to happen. Once accounts start going up, that's just how you do right business. Either that or gain a lawsuit and possibly go to jail and up under it, right? Nobody wants to be a crying foot with that sort of thing. And so, and me saying that, you don't want to wait till you gain millions of followers on your channel to start experimenting. Loser mindset has to be no. That's not going to ever work. Crybabies when they say, "Well, I want to have millions of followers," and then if they get them overnight, they ain't gonna know what to do with them. And now once they get on the channel and they start doing, they might say, well, I want to get over here and I want to rap, and then I want to, do a sewing type of video, and then I want to do, you're doing things that don't even match and go together, right? As in, those things have to be combined a strategic type of way. Can't just get on the camera and say, ooh, I'm the man that sung Chocolate Rain and I got millions of followers and viewers, but now I want to talk about race car driving. And then tomorrow I want to talk about playing guitars. And then the day after that, I might want to talk about how to iron your clothes. And then the day after that, I might want to talk about some John Deere cutting grass. And all that is all over the place unless you're like with the discovery the way that I am. But even that would have to be, what's the word for it? All that would have to be packaged and combined in a strategic way so that it all fits together, the whole model as a package, if it's going to sit here with investigation discovery. Because once again, those things don't go together. And yet if I had millions of followers and I was trying to lean over here and do ID, investigation discovery, and combine it with Discovery Channel, and yet I wasn't doing that before I had millions of followers, to say something might in fact need to be taken off. As in, whoever loves what the most, I might in fact need to lean more that way and get rid of the other thing. Yeah. Because if not, I'm going to drop views and all the rest with that sort of thing. That's why it helps to know what you're doing, as in being able to weave two things. That's why I got that robot there and that human that represents human life where it meets robotic AI, right? Weaving two products together like this or like this, however you want, stringing and tying that together. There's a way to do it. Because if you're speaking about information as to say, well, it's all information based to begin with, right? That is its own thing. It's all information to begin with is where they in fact match and meet. But these topics also relate to human life, because to know that robotics is going to be replacing human life, and yet not completely, not by killings or nothing. It's to say they just have to go together. So the topic, outside of fear, this is my question in a sense. Outside of fear, I always question day to day just what the average man or woman feels about state-of-the-art technology. Because, see, to be amongst populations of people, right, of all kinds and interest and status and class and makes and models, is to say not everybody thinks the same, right? Some people sit and whisper and gossip, try to make sense of robotics and what is human life going to be like? Is it going to kill us all? Is it going to lead to a natural disaster or what, right? Asking what does the average man or woman feel about state-of-the-art technology, despite we at Discovery knowing. See, to be with Discovery, you're going to come across all type of people, but at the same time, I'm right here on YouTube. You got what I'm saying? And to be in close reaches for the comments to be placed below you, the viewer, to let me know what that sort of thing. How do you feel artificial intelligence helps to move society forward? Do you think that it helps to move society forward, or do you think it helps to bend society backwards in reverse? Do you think it's a benefit to society, artificial intelligence, or do you think it's to society's detriment? Because right now, human beings are in fact in a state of paranoia, not knowing what to do about their jobs. Yeah, in fact, got people living in fear who will in fact be retired all the way out by the time even this stuff starts taking place. And yet many of them might practice various religions that don't believe in that type of technology. I'm saying religious people that don't believe in that, they feel that technology is of the devil, right? And yet evolution or evolving is real. Even from the caveman days up until where we at in 2018, society has to always continue to move forward. That's a life cycle process. One thing replaces another, that replaces another, that replaces another, that revolves around another, that evolves around another, that evolves around. It's the keep going process to help humans stay alive, and the best way to help humans stay alive and not die off is by placing things there so that we can. And yet to overdo it, once again, is to get killed off. So it has to be equal balance and harmonious, or harmony in that, right? The human jobs and the manual labor, and that being taken out of the hands of humans and given to robots. What do you think and feel about that sort of thing? Just leave the comment in the comment section, because even that will give me something to think about. Robotics, because see, that's my lane as well. I can sit on this camera for days on end and talk about the latest and great. I can trust and believe people that don't know me. They can look at me. This is why it helps to not judge people that you don't know physically, I'm saying, because I can sit on this camera all day and come up with all type of inventions that need to be made in order to help propel society as a whole forward. When I was online, yes, and I made it out in print format, not video format. When I said in our cars that we drive in every day, knowing that artificial intelligence is going to replace a lot of things, the human subconscious mind, in fact, runs our everyday, day-to-day stuff more than the conscious mind. We make our behaviors and our actions that play out a lot of times is dictated by stored information, our subconscious mind, right? And that's how they're building when it comes to artificial intelligence. They're building robots based off of how our subconscious mind works, which is why it's called artificial intelligence. That's why. That's how the human subconscious mind plays into that, because to make a replication of something is to do it. Yes, do it again. And yet it's not in human form, right? But you know that it's there and it's going to be replacing things, right? And in me saying that, when I said about future wise, how our cars that we drive in day to day, they should become more self-driving cars outside of Tesla. Yes, more so Ford and all the rest of them, right? Should duplicate that model, or all kinds of models. And the windshield, the glass windshield, should be where it's computerized, like it's an actual computerized screen, where GPS and everything is all right there on a database right on your screen. And yet it's a self-driving car, and yet it's a windshield. And not only that, you will be able to get online, get on your Facebook, you will be able to get on iTunes, you'll be able to scroll Spotify, you'll be able to order dinner and go pick it up. Everything that we do on a regular computer or Mac is the same thing that should be available in self-driving cars right on the windshield. Because glass is in fact the future of artificial intelligence. In the future, TV screens will be completely glass and not the old school screen TVs, and not even the smart TVs that we have now. All that is going to be glass. As thin as a plate that you pick up for dinner. That's how thin it's going to be in the future. And not a lot of people know that sort of thing because they don't get into that detail, and yet I do. I just feel that that is a good go, as well as when I said, well, social media, I feel that in the future, and more likely that's going to be as well. I'm trying to tell you, it's all type of ideals when it comes to my mindset, and I have yet to sit Maybe I should, because once again, this points in with Discovery Channel, and not only that, it makes all even more interesting and intriguing to see and understand my mindset as an unwrapping it, where most people, even surrounding me, don't even know how I think on this level. A genius level mindset. IQ. To have an IQ of 120 is, I wouldn't consider it completely genius, and yet it's, yes, slightly above average. GPA, when you got a GPA and it's over 3.5, 3.6, whatever, right? It's to say you think differently. And so to think differently is to teach other people. But when I said how social media, when we get on social media, we use that to our best advantage. Facebook, Instagram, all that. How I feel that when you're in your home, you shouldn't have to be on your phone. When you're on social media, you should be able to see it on the wall. Yes, a wall. Whether it's a living room wall, kitchen wall, your home wall space, any of that space, environment. Did I say bedroom? Yeah, that too. Any space where you should be able to look. And yet it's a chip. It would have to include a chip that's stored and mounted inside of your body for you to be able to actually look at the wall. And somehow between your eye, your visual or whatever, in relation to the chip, where it also meets the wall that's outside of your body, you'll be able to look at that wall and see right in front of you internet. Just how I'm looking at this screen, and if I wanted to, I can Google just how you see Discovery and everything as my backdrop. That's what you will see on the wall, and yet it's whatever you want to see. And yet the chip would in fact be embedded in your body where it meets your vision. That will all affect visual everything, your optics and everything, optic nerves and all the rest with that. I was going to say ophthalmologist. I almost said that word. But yeah, all that goes and plays along with all even that. I'm able to go much more deeper than that. The average man and woman out here that don't really know me personally and yet look at what I have on or how I dress or walk around in the atmosphere will never even know how I think. And these aren't nobody else's ideals. They're in fact my ideals, as in I come up with them on the spot. If somebody was to say, well, how is that going to happen? They would laugh in my face. I'm saying people have, which is why I don't sit around and talk about ideals like this, because artificial intelligence is going to take over so many of us, not take our lives away. No, they're going to be dictating to us what to think and feel. The computerized systems are. They're already doing it now. Because to say once I sign on, see, this is where people lose out on the game. They don't even pay attention. Robots are already dictating our everyday life, and yet you just don't know that they're there, as in see them, as in they're already fully operational. Because to get on YouTube and say, well, I see people on YouTube crying because they can't gain more followers or they can't do this or that. That's not my game. For me, I focus on education and what I'm doing right here. I don't focus on all this other stuff, right? But you do have people that get on here and cry about, well, this ain't happening, and YouTube changed the algorithm. Well, algorithm is in fact artificial intelligence. And to say that you can't do things in the way that you want to is to say, okay, yes, YouTube in fact set the algorithm there to do that, right? But at the same time, YouTube is not sitting around dictating this and this and that. They just set the platform there, which is ran by artificial intelligence, to make decisions for you. These algorithms is in fact helping to make decisions for you and not you making decisions for it, not completely. Because to go up against something, to be a guy, like I saw a guy, and I see many of these females on here crying, and I made a video about that before, how they can't get more followers. To say that you're going up against a wall and you're trying to drive through a wall and you can't get past the wall is to try to go around it. And yet sometimes to try to even go around it is to say you're still stalling out, or you're going to, because that's that artificial intelligence in your way, despite trying to go around it, right? And then me saying that sort of thing, that's to say that that computerized system is in fact controlling you and not the other way around. People don't think this far, and yet I do. There's wise people on here that do think this far. They in fact they're all across the globe that think in Asia, over in Asia. Yes, many of them. They know what the game is because they work in technology. But to say, well, I got on YouTube and this didn't go through or that got removed or whatever, is to say, well, that robotic system did that because no human man or woman is sitting there behind that. It's been set up by them, as in the coding process, the zeros, ones, and all the rest with that, the on and off switch and all that, even numbers spin with algorithms and all the rest, right? That counting system and clocking system with that, right? And yet no human, in fact, was there to prevent you from doing whatever you were trying to do. Getting a strike or having something taken down. That robot is, in fact, dictating your thoughts and your mind and your actions as well as your feelings more than anything. The robot is dictating your feelings. And you just don't know that it's happening because the man or woman, once again, is not there. The robot was there. And not only can you get through, now you're sitting there crying. So that's where that robot is dictating your feelings. And now your feelings are hurt because that robot said no. It added a strike to your account or something like that. You see what I'm saying? People, they don't understand. What's another one? Self-driving car, that robot is dictating as well. See, these robots they're already in action doing that. They're going to control humans more than anything. And they always have, because anything that's ran by something that's electronic is to say that's robotics as well, slightly. It's electronics, and yet to put something in motion that moves by itself is to say that's robotics, right? It just is. If I say, yeah, people a lot of times they can't think this far, and that's why it's good for me to be on this screen. But if I say that, for example, if I'm on this MacBook right here, now I got two MacBooks and a Toshiba, right? If I sit here, and that's on any computer, it can be on a Dell, and I run a screensaver, right? This MacBook, Dell, or whatever has a clocking system on the screensaver that I can put there to time it or whatever when I want the screensaver to run or when I want the computer to go to sleep. But say if I just want the screensaver to run, right? That's automation as well. Not automation, I'm sorry. That's my theme. I like automation as well because I use that on my social media accounts. But to have a screensaver run like that, that's artificial intelligence as well, because you're still part of the computing process, whether people want to make it as that or not, or see it as that or not. Some people say, well, seeing is believing. But to let a computer sit there and run with a screensaver, and yet you're nowhere around, is to say, well, that's artificial intelligence. It's a computer. That might not be the proper terminology, and yet it is what it is, right? It just is what it is, and something happened like how I used to have issues with Windows XP where somehow my computer will go to sleep and lock me out, right? But I can still tell that the motor and everything else or whatever was running, everything in the computer, I could hear the fan running, which means it was sleep but not completely. That computer in a sense was running me because I had an attitude because I couldn't get the computer to wake up. All I needed to do was press the power on and off button, and yet I wouldn't do that. I was being stubborn in that. But that's artificial intelligence as well. What else could we think of that's could be considered artificial intelligence, in which people don't think about, and yet it in fact controls your thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and sometimes your well-being and mental state if it rejects you, like the way YouTube does with this algorithm? Artificial intelligence. I'm trying to think of what else, because you can look around a room in any house or wherever, apartment, wherever, and see stuff that is sitting there electronically. Because if anything, trust and believe, that's how my mind perceives anything. And yet people will say, well, you're taking it out of context, because that is in fact not artificial intelligence, and yet it is. If I leave my cell phone, let me see. I was gonna use the example of the clock on my cell phone, because the clock on my one cell phone flashes the clock and then the screen go black and then it flash and then the screen go black and it flash, right? I was gonna say that's in fact artificial intelligence, right? Because it's running and yet I'm not touching it. And yet it's doing it by itself, right? that's all the way out of context, but something else. That's why it would be good for me to start live streaming, in which I'm going to do more likely next year, because I can ask you, the viewer, to call out something to me and what you think is part of artificial intelligence, and yet it's not completely not, because it's not all the way there. And yet to make the latest, greatest inventions is to go with what you're working with that's sitting in the right now, the time. An iPod, like my iPod Classic sitting here. More of these will be the this is a classic, and they no longer make it, right? The classic model. But that's gonna meet artificial intelligence as well, where one day the iPod might not even exist. It will possibly be a chip in your body where you ain't even gotta pick up something. You can just listen to music or whatnot throughout your body, not throughout your body, but somewhere, a chip or something being placed somewhere around here, not down here where you can die, where you can dig in something and die. Certain areas of the body you can't place certain chips and stuff like that, but a chip I can see being placed somewhere in the body as a replacement of the iPod in the near future. I can see that somewhere mounted somewhere near the ear so that you're able to hear it, and yet some type of way there would have to be something within the body, not encapsulated, but kind of way in the body where it's able to have 2 channels or 4 channels, I don't know, 6 or 8 channels, right? Because to start mounting a chip inside of the body, on one side of the body, as it says, going to have to work its way around on the other side of the body, and yet you don't want no chip moving this up underneath your skin. You want it to be in one area, and yet some type of way even speakerphones will have to point in with that. So there will be more of a process with even that, possibly a scalpel. Because to put a chip in the body, as I say, that's an embedding process as well. And yet, how are you going to do it where you got a chip there on one side, but you're able to hear sound in both ears? Which is the point in the process, to put a chip inside of up underneath your skin anyway. So you don't need a physical compact iPod or any other device to listen to music. It will all be bodily internal. And if it go that far, that's my ideal. I ain't read that nowhere. That's my ideal. Like I said, I come up with ideas on the spots. If it goes that far of a chip being in your body to listen to music, and you don't need no handheld anything, that's to say you will become a robotic species. That's funny. You will become a robot yourself, as in that's where it will be headed. I possibly in the future will be part of that process as well, as in coming up with things as time go on. I'm saying doing things for corporations outside of discovery in the realm of technology, robotics. I got a young niece, and what's so weird about my mindset, how I think, because robotics seems to be the topic, is all I think about. It's all I think about nowadays, right? Artificial intelligence. My niece walked up to me one day, and she don't even know that that's what I'm all into like that. Yeah, and how I think and perceive stuff, as in, to make an invention is to look at something and put it with something else. That's how you come up with new ideals to make an invention or be inventive, right? And she told me, she said, you know what, Auntie, you should get into robotics. And I thought that was the most strangest thing. Because I'm like, well, how would she know that that's my interest level? And yet that's something that, because that's what I'm saying. I have 50 million interests. And yet day to day, robotics ain't something that I just openly speak with my family members on, because they ain't trying to hear that. That's boring to most people. My own mom ain't trying to be hearing that. I've been told, well, I don't want to hear no lecture about all this stuff. So a lot of stuff I just do what I do with discovery privately with that sort of thing. But I don't walk around just randomly discussing it with random people and family, because that's a turn off to them, right? But I think that's one of my main themes, is because I'm able to delve a whole lot more deeper. When I said, well, you know, this one particular celebrity that I love and admire, I said it would be so cool to design something where, because she loves shoes, that's her main thrill is shoes, to design something for her where even her shoes can fly and yet she's nowhere in the shoes. See what I'm saying? It's almost like a flying disc approach, and I'm not going to go all deep into that, like a flying disc approach, but the shoes would in fact rest on top of that and fly and make their way to her so that she can put them on her feet, and then that disc would in fact go back, yes, to this particular area what I was describing. Having ideals is so fundamental. It makes life much more interesting and fun to live when you can think about stuff that's beyond the past as well as the future. Because a lot of times I think 20 to 30 years ahead. It's my personality type being an INTJ. INTJ personality, the mastermind. I'm in fact a mastermind. We're in fact 2% of the population. It's only, yes, 2% of us within the population. INTJ mastermind. You can Google that by looking that up, right? We always think at least 33 years ahead. So when you go back on what I said about chips being embedded in your body and the iPod approach of what I explained, that was my ideal and nobody else's. And yet I don't sit discussing this with anybody else outside of Discovery because they'll take it the wrong way. They might in fact want to kill me. And I had a discussion with somebody about that, you know, to get to talking about robotics, and some people, more so religious people or sanctified people, don't really get into that. Is to say they feel that that's the work of the devil, and they might in fact want me dead because they'll think that I'm trying to kill off black people, when that's not the thing. You're trying to propel humanity as a whole forward in place of going backwards in life. That's all a part of evolving, evolution process, moving forward and not going backwards. To go backwards in life is to reverse and be killed off. That's what people fail to know. That's why human beings from the beginning, first day, that's how we lived and traveled this far for so many years, because to know that people never stopped. They might have stopped and took trips here and traveled, but they just never stopped and just stood there. Human beings are designed to keep moving and growing and expanding and becoming wiser, right? And creating seeds and offspring. That's where we're supposed to go, because that helps point in with survival. And yet not everybody thinks that way when it comes to robots, because once again they feel that and it is artificial, replicated behind human man and woman, right? And also because robots can think much more faster than us. That's another reason why people fear robots. I get it. They're machinery that process information 1,000 times faster than us, if not more than that. A whole lot more than that. 1,000,000 times more than that, processing information at a rate of speed of light, right? That's why you use them to replace things that you need, right? Because they can get a lot more done than, say, humans, right? But at the same time, that should be nothing to completely fear, because I say that because when Y2K happened, a lot of people feared that. Well, Y2K, we're going to be in the dark and we're going to be starving. And you know how that was when everybody was out buying food and water thinking it was the end of the world. And yet we're here in 2018. And not only that, there was other technology, even when it comes with the man going to the moon. I mean, going wherever you're traveling. However you choose. The reason why I said that is because not everybody believes in what they believe. Well, did nobody travel here? Did nobody go there on this? There's people out here that don't even believe that NASA, the space shuttles and all the rest, they don't even believe that type of stuff exists. They must be living in the dark ages or something. Because they not see that, well, CNN Live or wherever, when it's time for takeoff, or anywhere news that, okay, it's time for takeoff. Why would somebody want to fake that? It's too much time and energy to be faking all that. Not only, that's too much. People got to come back to life and reality and know that that stuff in fact take place as in it's real. Second Earth is in fact real as well. Go look it up in relation to stars and all the rest, right? That that stuff is in fact real. For you not to believe that NASA or any space shuttles going up beneath, yes, beyond the stars and all the rest, you thinking and feeling that that's not real. But people in fact do think that that stuff is not real. They're not living in reality or something. Something is completely wrong there. Because see, even going out in space poses a lot of issues and slight temporary damage to the body where they lose weight because of weightlessness and all the rest, right? There's all type of things that go on when you're out in space. That many of them, when they come back, they faint. They stand at the podium and then they drop off, not dead, but faint, because their body has been so weightless for months, right? NASA is completely real, as well as, yes, deep space and whatever you choose to call it, whatever term people like to go by. I was going to say time travel, but that fits in somewhat slightly, but not completely. That's way out of line, right? But yeah, I always have to believe, and I do because I'm with Discovery, but that is in fact real, NASA being in existence, because to watch a woman go to the podium and she just black out or about to black out or feel, those people have to prep and prepare and do training and all that to even go out in space. That's a reality check. Can't just get sent out in space and not prepare the body, even with meals and drinks and all the rest. Knowing what you got to prep for day-to-day activities, being out in space, who don't know that sort of thing? And yet, once again, not everybody believe going up in space is real. Not everybody believe it. Not everybody believe that traveling out in space is real, is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's all to be said. You can leave a comment, like I said, about artificial intelligence. How do you think that it will be a benefit to mankind, or even to your life as a whole, or even to your children's lives, knowing that that's the future and it points in with them living? So I think I'm going to end this video out for now. May you enjoy your day, and I'm going to enjoy mine, and I'm gone for now.